And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 35 of A Druid's Dozen. My name's John. I am the rock. People call me the Rock Druid, and basically this is me raiding my record collection, waving records in front of the screen for you, and talking about them for a bit. And I want to say a big thanks on this show to this lot, US punkers band out of New York, Sick Wall. They sent me a big merch pack, completely unsolicited and out of the blue. Including a couple of t-shirts and badges and that. This nice beanie as being modelled by Albrecht, and that baseball cap as being modelled by Urbane. And yeah, I want to say a big thanks to the guys, and check them out if you like a nice bit of kind of old school punk. Sick Wall, they're on Bandcamp, they're on lots of good download sites. So yeah, so thanks again guys, it was a really nice surprise and I appreciate it greatly. Okay, on with this week's dozen. I've got to admit, this is my second take. I had a bit of a camera failure earlier, so I'm going to try and rush through these. So, because I'm getting a bit pushed for time. Anyway, opening up this one, 1976, Uriah Heep, High and Mighty. The album that marks a bit of a transition from Uriah Heep. They're kind of dropping away from the prog rock period, developing the kind of more kind of hard rock sound that they followed on throughout the 70s and up to this day. Also, Gary Thane had quit the band, replaced by the fantastic legendary John Wetton, of which you may not know, but you couldn't be in a prog rock band in the 70s in Britain unless you had at least one album with John Wetton playing bass, or so it seems. He was turned up nearly everywhere. But anyway, bit of a Marmite album for this one. Some people love it, some people hate it. I quite like it. My favourite cut on here is You Can't Keep a Good Band Down. Uriah Heep never were a favourites of the musical establishment and the music press. They've always been slagged off, they couldn't do anything right. But, you know, despite that, they still managed to sell shed loads of albums and have a loyal fan base that stuck with them to this day. And, you know, You Can't Keep a Good Band Down is them doing the old Harvey Smiths at the music press. Other highlights, Woman of the World, Footprints in the Snow, One Way or Another, Misty Eyes, all pretty good stuff. I'm not saying it's more hard rock than prog on this one, but hey, nothing wrong with that. So, highly recommended if you want to get into some of the late Uriah Heep stuff. High and Mighty by Uriah Heep, 1976. Okay, next up. Here we go, from 2009, a Victory for Common Sense by Stackridge. Classic Bristol kind of progressive folk rockers, formed in the 1970s, well late 1960s actually. Did a string of albums throughout the 1970s, classic songs with the names like Purple Spaceship over Yatton, Syracuse the Elephant, Dora the Explorer, no, nothing to do with the Kids TV series, etc. The Galloping Honcho is another good one. But anyway, broke up in late 1970s. A couple of guys went on to form a band called the Corgis. Big hit with It's Still Too Young to Remember. I can't remember what it was called, but anyway. And then kind of reformed late 1990s, and been kind of ongoing on and off ever since. This is their most recent album to date, and it's a belter. Four of the original guys on here, the only missing guy is Mike Evans, the fiddle player, and a string of tracks that are kind of absolutely storming. You've got Waiting for England to Return, which is a kind of tongue-in-cheek look at nationalism. Red Squirrel, ecological song about red squirrels being at war with grey squirrels. North Street Grand, all about now defunct cinema in Bedminster in Bristol. And then the classic 11.5 minutes of The Day the World Stopped Turning. Big kind of prog epic at the end. Performances on here are first rate. This is the album that marks the return of Matt Slater on flute, who missed the previous couple of albums, and overall just a jaw dropper. Don't know if there's anything released since this, but nothing I've come across anyway. Band are still gigging from time to time. Members that are in both the Stackridge and the Corgis do kind of year and year about between Corgis and Stackridge. But you know, they still turn up a lot on, you know, doing the odd live tours at festivals from time to time. And I hastily recommend not only do you check their albums out, including starting with this one, but you also go see them live if you get the chance, because watching all their fans, which are kind of my age, turning up and sword fighting with dustbin lids and sticks of rhubarb is something to be seen, to be believed. Yeah, 2009, Stackridge, A Victory for Common Sense, built-in record. Okay, next up, I'm going to stay prog. There we go. Da 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 da. Yeah, this is, I'll show you what it is. Brain Cell Surgery, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yeah, 1973. My favourite Emerson, Lake and Palmer album, although, you know, a lot of the other stuff is pretty good. Yeah. H.R. Geiger artwork. Chatted to the missus the other day, and we think that Geiger only did our artwork for only 3 bands we could think of. This one for Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Franco and Christ for the Dead Kennedys, and yeah, one of Celtic Frost's albums. I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, if you don't know, Emerson Lake, well, you should know, but if you don't know, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, 3-piece prog rock supergroup. Keyboards, Keith Emerson, ex The Nice. Drums, Carl Palmer, ex Atomic Rooster. Bass, guitar and vocals, Greg Lake, ex King Crimson. Come together into one of the most gloriously overblown, pompous, yeah, almost like their own backsides prog rock bands you can think of. But whereas I mentioned about going at their own backsides far too often, yes, try and take themselves far too seriously, or rather they guys gave the impression they took themselves too seriously. Yes, fans are some of the worst fans I've ever come across, but being kind of, you know, anally retentive, whatever, you know. I'm not going to slag yes fans off it in general, but a lot of the hardcore ones are, you know, kind of very pedantic, sad little people. On the other hand, and I think that's a vibe they pick up from the band, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, on the other hand, yes, they can be pompous, yes, they can be up their own backsides, but no, they never took themselves that seriously. There's always a joke, I'd say they're serious, but there's always a little joke in there somewhere. On here, it's a cut called Benny the Bouncer, a morality tale about a bouncer that will smash your granny's face and give her half a chance, and how he kind of had a standoff being killed by a rancid pork pie by a bloke called Savage Sid. Great stuff. On the more serious points, this album contains Toccata, big kind of Keith Emerson keyboard workout, their version of the Blake Parry classic choral piece, Jerusalem, and of course, spread over a side and a half of the album is Carnival 9. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that racist bastard Jim Davison ruining my opinion of the song by using it as a theme tune for one of his crap kind of TV vehicles in the 90s. But you know, to me, Carnival number 9 is the ultimate Emerson, Lake and Palmer track. Welcome back, my friends, to the song that never ends. I'm so glad you could attend. Step inside, and then it gets weird. Yeah, I love Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I can put up with their self-indulgence and that because they're a band that are fun to listen to. So, 1973, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Brain Salad Surgery, of which the title track was a one-off single and not included on this album. Go figure. But there again, there were loads of drugs around back then. Maybe they just forgot. But anyway, cracking record that should be in any decent music fan's collection. Enjoy. Complete change of style and gear now. We have this one. Yeah, this is Still Not Getting Any by The Simple Plan. There's the front. There's the back. Not much to see the disc all behind it. Rather interesting pictures of the band growing up or getting more and more prosthetic put on them as they go through their lives and ending up in a care home. Then there's lyrics and the album credits and that. Now, Simple Plan, pop punk band. If you're into kind of stuff like Green Day, Blink-182, Good Charlotte, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, all those kind of bands, you'll know where these are coming from. And it's the type of music I got into by default almost. When I started on, I was aware of the bands around, but really didn't pay much attention. When I started on BCFM, I started getting music in that genre, the pop punk genre, arriving. And basically, after kind of sneering at it for a while, I began to actually listen to it and began to realise that, you know, this is a type of music that knows its audience, knows its people. It's aimed at angsty 15-year-old schoolgirls, so therefore it's going to have songs like Me Against the World, Welcome to My Life, I'm Crazy, all that kind of thing. Yeah, because it's going to appeal to its demographic. And, you know, I suppose you could listen back to some of the stuff I was listening to back in when I was an angsty 15-year-old. Probably say the same about bands like XTC. But anyway, you know, once you get your head around the fact that this is a kind of band aiming at its market, and maybe you may not be its market, if you actually give them a listen, they're good, they're competent, they're not earth-shattering. This album's not gonna kind of be hailed in 30 years' time as being a Sergeant Pepper, but on the other hand, it could be hailed as being the kind of, yeah, that's pretty good. I remember listening to that when I was a kid, and I still do get a kick out of listening to it. Yeah, 2004 this one came out. Worth a check. I'd recommend, unless you're an angsty 15-year-old schoolgirl, you give it a stream before you decide to download it. I'll grab this in a charity shop, 50p. Not a bad purchase if you ask me, because the album's quite competent. Yeah, 2004, still not getting any by Simple Plan. Okay, next up, bit of classic Speedwagon. Here we go. My missus says this is one of the worst album titles she's ever come across, with a pretty poor cover. I may not agree, but I think it's okay. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. 1978. Now, I've mentioned Speedwagon a couple of times on this in these videos. Yeah, there's some of their 80s stuff with their MTV power ballads was acceptable, but the band's real talent was developed in the 1970s. Damn fine, hard-edge rock and roll band. Albums like Nine Lives, their debut, Cow, etc. All just damn fine music. This is 1978. It's one of their better ones, well, one of their great ones in my opinion, containing some of their best known tracks from that era. Roll with the Changes, Time for Me to Fly, Say You Love Me or Say Goodnight, Running Blind, etc. Also contains the Unidentified Flying Tuna Trot, which is a sequel to their earlier track, the Unidentified Flying Turkey Trot. This is a Gary Richards guitar workout, effectively. But overall, the band's on fine form. It's just good, no nonsense, straight down the line, hard-edged rock and roll. No bullshit to it. It's an honest album from an honest band, and you know, from a period of the band that I love. So as I showed you, there's the front, there's the back with the band in a desert somewhere. Whip this out, the band themselves with a big logo, lyrics, typical 70s pressing. That's it. So yeah, I keep saying this and I keep on saying it. I do urge you to try and explore some of the 70s Speedwagon stuff, especially from the UK where they were pretty unknown at the time. And yeah, you won't regret. And this is a good album to start with. 1978. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of FM. This is Futurama from 2014. UK kind of soft rockers, melodic rockers, whatever you want to call them, stadium rockers. Britain's equivalent to kind of bands like Journey and Foreigner, etc. There's the front, there's the back. I have here a press release. There's a press release. Booklet. Artwork. Thanks list. Band pickies, etc. Now, FM have been a kind of fixture on the British music scene since the late 1980s, I think they started. Got a kind of smattering of their stuff throughout their career in the collection, and I'll be honest with you, they're never a band that set me on fire. Don't get me wrong, they write great songs, they are first-rate musicians, and they are very, very competent at what they do, but they never really kind of, to me, they're a band that hold back too much. You know, even bands like Journey can occasionally come out with a track like Be Good to Yourself, real kind of anthemic, air punchy stuff. Futurama, sorry, FM, they never really hit that top gear. They seem to be content to cruise along like almost like an old lady driving down the middle lane of a motorway at 45 or 50 miles an hour in a BMW at a 3 Series. You know, I've seen that happen. You know, they know that vehicle's capable of a lot more pace and speed, but they don't want to go. They're a bit frightened to kind of go into their upper gear. Yeah, which to me frustrates me. I enjoy listening to FM, but I always come away from their albums a little bit kind of because you're waiting for a rock out moment that never happens. They nearly get there. Bad That's Good For You on this one. Tough Love, Cross-Drown Train, The Story of My Life. Great songs, really well written songs, really well played, but gearing issues in my opinion. You know, I'm not a music producer, but if I was their manager, I would love to chuck him in the studio with, okay, he's dead now, but someone like Vic Mail, and ask him to kind of fit him with a new set of balls. Shame, because they're a great band, but there again, I suppose they got their fans that like what they do, and they're quite big in Europe, so where that kind of, especially in Italy, where that kind of thing's quite popular. So yeah, good luck to them. But for me, I'll still listen to their stuff and play it on the radio, but I'm going to take a bit more to convince me to become a huge fan. Anyway, 2014's Futurama by FM. Next up, the Francesco Forte Band with Arousal Addiction. Francesco Forte, I can't remember if that's actually Italian born or just Italian descent, or maybe Spanish, can't remember. Sorry Francesco if I'm getting all this wrong, but I'm trying to remember stuff and I'm in a bit of a panic because I'm getting pushed for time. But anyway, alt-rock band, hard-edged alt-rock band, kind of heavy alt-rock band. Francesco Forte, fantastically talented guitarist, and this is his band. They've got a string of albums and EPs out. Came across these with Alien Stashed Him. We've played with them first of all at Thunderbolt. We've come across them a couple of times since as well. This is an EP from 2013. Damn fine one at that. 5-tracker. Greetings from the Lizard King, the opener, is my favourite cut, followed closely by Time Weapon. Although the other tracks, Arousal Addiction, the title cut, Stephanie and Blue Seagull, are equally kind of valid. So yeah, all good stuff. The band is still technically together and available, and I highly recommend that you go check them out. Yeah, Arousal Addiction by the Francesco Forte Band. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of this. This is Grand Prix, There For None To See. There's the front. There's the back. Now, heavy Uriah Heep connections with this lot. Bernie Shaw, the original vocalist who sang on their eponymous debut album, is joined had left before this, but later showed up in Uriah Heep, as did Phil Lazen, the keyboard player. I haven't heard their first album with Bernie Shaw on it, but I've got this on their second one, vocals of which are one Robert McCauley, part of the Michael McCauley Schenker group, the post-MSG project, and of course the rather disastrous Guitar Hero outfit, GTR. But anyway, coming back to this is a brilliant album. It got that kind of Uriah Heepy kind of balance between hard rock and prog. Two really good standout tracks on here. Keep On Believing, a real uplifting anthem about keep on believing that you're someone, and when you know, I'm a depressive, it's a track that always puts a smile on my face when I'm feeling down. And then top of the track, big long prog rock epic about Roger Bannister doing the 4-minute mile. Overall, mind-blowing record. It's well played, it's well produced. I can't remember Greg Walsh, whoever he is. It's a great version, great job on the production. Bit of a rare gem, a bit of a rare classic, this one in my opinion, and one that should be checked out, sought out. You might have a bit of trouble finding it. Don't think it's had a CD issue. Might be available digitally, or failing that, you're looking at sort of second-hand record stores and auctions, etc. But highly recommend that you check it out if you get the chance, because you will not regret. 1982, Without None to See by Grand Prix. Okie dokie. Oh, it's not spoon falling apart. Battered dual case syndrome. Get that in a minute. There's the front. Probably can't see that too clearly, but this is Tomb of the Eagles by Vantage Point, Scottish metalheads, from 2011. This one. There's the front. There's the back. Slide this out, you might get a slightly better look at the cover there. Photos of the guys. Yeah, no lyrics or anything. A few credits though. And I'll slide that back. On here, you've got release promo cards for their various singles, their debut album, Obedient School, their SNS themed single that came off this record. Yeah, now I think this lot are Edinburgh. If you're Glasgow guys, I really apologise. Scotland, central belt of Scotland anyway. Metal of the old school. Just a really good, so the old school metal outfit. Hints of Iron Maiden, hints of Judas Priest, hints of heavy petting, you know, Armoured Saint, etc. Never really break out into full-blown thrash. They never really lose, no new metal raphisms on it. Just some really good old school air guitar in metal numbers. Highlights on this: Into the Vault, High Plains Drifter, obviously about the Clint Eastwood movie, absolutely cracking song. The Shetland Driller Killer, bizarre sort of it's a Scottish thing, I presume. Yeah, crashing in. The aforementioned Obedient Score, which was a single off this. Very much fun. It's tongue-in-cheek fun. S&M theme song. Yeah, well worth an investigation to check out. Vantage Point still very much an ongoing concern. Had an album out about a year ago. An EP out about a year ago. Sorry, which I have looked at others. But I've got a lot of their stuff, and it has shown up on previous editions of this show, and will show up again in the future. But in the meantime, do yourself a favour. Go look them up. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed, and you may exactly find yourself a new kind of old school metal band you love. Yeah, this is Two with the Eagles, Vantage Point, 2011. Okay, way back in time now, early 70s again. 1972. Slade by Slade. There's the front. There's the back. Don't think there's anything in here. No, nothing in there at all. Yeah. Slade. About their third or fourth album overall, but the second of their kind of, oh my God, we're big international superstars now. Period. Just contains two of their biggest hits, Mama We're All Crazy Now and the fantastic Goodbye to Jane. It's kind of other cuts to look out for include the hard rocking opening, How Do You Ride, Won't Let It Happen Again, Move Over, Let the Good Times Roll, Goodbye, Goodbye. If you haven't heard Slade, you've been living under a rock. They're kind of glam, heavy glam rock, kind of top hat wearing, kind of Birmingham accent, West Midlands. Sorry, I've got to get this right because my missus will complain. Black country, because they're Wolverhampton boys and she's from Wolverhampton. Black country singing, kind of working class, just kind of good fun party rock and roll. Band that kind of were going on throughout the 70s, 80s, into the early 90s before calling it quits. But I think a couple of them are still going under the name. Dave Hill there and Don Powell are still touring under the name Slade too. And the other two, Noddy Older is now a DJ on BRMB radio in Birmingham and retired, and Dave Hill is now an established UK record producer. But yeah, Slade, they're good fun. They're boisterous. They're up tempo. They're banter moon stomp too. They're just a big party animal. Yeah, their singles are good, but you know the real kind of rocky stuff, and the stuff I really let go and have fun is often on the albums. I recommend any of the Slade albums, to a greater or lesser extent. My favourite remains In Flame, but this is up there with it. Yeah, 1972, Slade by Slade. Good stuff. Okay, final CD. This is The Reckoning by Cindersfall. Again, 5-track mini album, and this came out in I want to say 2009. I'll have to have a check. Transcend Records, I know that. Do you know, it doesn't say when this was released, but I'll stick the head on the line and say 2009, so that was fairly early at my time at PCFM this arrived. Cindersfall, metalcore out of Liverpool. if you like bands like Killswitch Engage, definitely if you like Killswitch Engage, these will be right up your street. Good kind of no nonsense, straight down the line. So it's like metalcore. They do the kind of cliched clean singing and scream singing, but you know, these guys can put it off. A lot of bands can't, but these guys can. They're heavy as hell and write some damn effective songs. My favourite cut on here, Beyond Existence, although the others, Dead Zone, The Sorrow, Line Side and The Reckoning, are also pretty damn good. Love the album artwork on here as well. Yeah, I think this lot are still, actually I don't think this lot are still together. I think members of them have turned up in other bands I've come across. Although they did bring out a couple of other EPs and at least one full-length album. I've got the full-length album behind me somewhere. But yeah, not much more to say about this. Just give it a listen. So if you're into bands like Killswitch Engage and that, this will be right up your street. It's a damn fine record. Yeah, The Reckoning, Cindersfall, around about 2010? Question mark. Of course, if you do know when that one was officially released, let me know down there or over there. And finally, end up with a bit of a classic. Iron Maiden's Killers, 1981. Yeah. Maiden's second album, the final one to feature Paul Di'Anno on vocals. So there's the front, there's the back. This one has not got an inner sleeve. I don't know if any of the others did, but yeah, the first to feature real classic Rodney Matthews, not Rodney Matthews, Derek Riggs artwork. The hands are supposed to be Maggie Thatcher, part of the ongoing feud between Maggie Thatcher and Iron Maiden. Owing to kind of well, Maggie Thatcher's appearance on the album covers and being axed and getting back at Eddie and Eddie getting back at her, etc. Rumbled on for a few singles and the albums. And again, one of the albums that you can just kind of lose yourself and look at the people in the windows and little details, something that would be developed on Derek Riggs' signature in the TV area up there. It's something that Derek Riggs will explore on future albums, coming to coal mat on Somewhere in Time, which you can spend hours getting lost in the album cover of that, looking for references and kind of meanings. But overall, Killers. Now, what about this album? It's good. I'm not going to slag it off. It's a good album, but it suffers, as can often happen with band records. The album that came before it was the eponymous debut album, absolutely groundbreaking record with tracks like Number of the Beast and not Number of the Beast, not one of that, Phantom of the Opera, Running Free, etc. on it. The album that came after this was Number of the Beast, my favourite Maiden album, in my opinion, the best thing that band ever did. Which means that this, which although it's a pretty good album in its own right, and if any other band had released it, you know, without being sandwiched between those two kind of behemoths of metal, this would be deemed as an all-time classic. However, because it is sandwiched between those two behemoths of metal, it does tend to get a little bit overlooked and forgotten about, you know. Great album. I'll admit I'm not a fan of Paul Di'Anno's vocals. You know, I do prefer Dickinson, but you know, he does okay, and his kind of punky approach gives them that kind of bit of attitude that maybe they did sadly lose during the Dickinson era. Title cuts include the single Rothschild, Another Life, Genghis Khan. Great track. Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Killers, Purgatory. All good stuff. But there's no real cut on here, in my opinion, that kind of... This album doesn't have a Phantom of the Opera or a Number of the Beast or a Children of the Damned on it. It's yeah, it's the difficult second album. It's almost like the kind of filler material from their live set that left over from the first album, which is good, but you know, maybe not kind of the best. Shame, but you know, Maiden, you know, again, feel free to disagree with me. You know what the comments are. Let me know why this album is the best Iron Maiden album ever, or do you agree with me that it's a kind of a, it's okay, but you know, suffers from kind of not being one of the greats. So yeah, let me know. Yeah, Iron Maiden, The Killers, 1981. Well, that's it for this week. Again, big thanks to Sick Walk for the really nice merch pack they sent me. There's your t-shirt. And I said, Allback's modelling the beanie. Urbane's modelling the baseball cap. And there's also, they sent me some badges and some lip balm. Never heard of, which is the first. I've had some weird merchandise come or get my hands on in the past, but never kind of branded lip balm. But anyway, check them out. You can I'll put a link in the description and check them out on Bandcamp because they're worth your while giving them a listen. So anyway, that's it for this week. Sorry I had to fly through it. I was nearly finished the first take and the camera kind of malfunctioned. I had to reset and go again from the beginning. Getting pushed for time, so I had to fly through it on a bit of a fly this week. But hope I haven't kind of gabbled too much. So until next week, peeps. Take care, stay socially distant, and I'm out of here. Love, cheers, bye.